The evil Dr. Gero is back, and this time he's cooked up his most diabolical plan ever. Androids of Terror.
Androids? Dr. Gero? Well, sort of. On this edition of Dragon Ball Lost in Translation, we look at some of the translation changes in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z revolving around these technological terrors, as well as the Red Ribbon Army itself. Let's talk about it.
この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
Androids has always been an acceptable way of referring to them, but that's not technically what they're really called. The definition of the word android states, in science fiction, a robot with a human appearance. In Japanese, they are Jinzo Ningen. Jinzo Ningen literally translates to artificial human, with Ningen being a word for human. Now, the word Ningen in Dragon Ball does not mean Earthling. Chikyujin is Earthling, which means people of the Earth. Ningen applies to humanoids, including aliens who have human anatomy. When Trunks is talking to Goku for the first time, revealing the ill-fated future, he refers to the artificial humans as cyborgs. Cyborg, a fictional or hypothetical person whose physical abilities are extended beyond normal human limitations by mechanical elements built into the body. Now, that's interesting to me because in Dragon Ball, 17 and 18 kind of fit the cyborg role, whereas 16, 19, and 20 are more so an android based on the definition. Then, of course, you have Cell, who's like a biomechanical mixture of the two. I don't even know what you'd call him. But it's interesting because some fan subs and early internet episode summaries listed them as cyborgs rather than androids, and it makes sense. But the use of the word android was not Funimation's call. Many fan subs from the era called them androids. Plus, in the Latin American version of Dragon Ball Z, they were called androides. Calling them androids is no big deal. In the original Japanese version, Dr. Gero's name was and always has been Dr. Gero, but for some reason they changed it to pronouncing it Gero. Why? I have no idea, but it's Gero, and I think it's because of the lack of scripts that they got from Toei, or they didn't get, or the lack of watching it in Japanese. But that's not all that was changed. In Dragon Ball Z episode 128, there is a montage that recaps the majority of the Red Ribbon Army saga. In the English dub, this was narrated quite painfully by Roshi, but there was no narration in the original Japanese. It was just a montage with music. While I do understand Funimation adding a narration because the Red Ribbon arc of Dragon Ball had not been dubbed yet, and most of the audience watching had no idea, could they not have done a little bit of research? Just a little bit? In the narration, Roshi says that Dr. Gero was the chief scientist of the Red Ribbon Army, even though he had no idea who he was. Dr. Gero was a character Toriyama didn't even come up with until the Z era. So it's implied that Roshi knew about Gero in Dragon Ball, but that's not possible. He also says Goku fought somebody named General Tao, which was Tao Pai Pai. They just assumed he was a general, even though he wasn't even in the Red Ribbon Army. He's just an assassin that was hired by Commander Red. Then later on, when Funimation dubbed Dragon Ball, because of their lack of very basic research, they had to change it from General Tao to Mercenary Tao. A few other minor Red Ribbon / Android name changes were Major Metallitron, who was Sergeant Metallic, not really a big change. Also, Goku's pet name for Android 8 was Aider, which is a good dub decision for a nickname because his nickname in the Japanese version was Hachan, which is from the word Hachigo, which is number 8 in Japanese. That's not too bad. I like Aider a lot. I think that's a good job. Good work by Funimation to make it somewhat close to Hachan. So anyways, that's it for this Red Ribbon Artificial Humanoid edition of Dragon Ball Lost in Translation. Hope you enjoyed the video and thank you for watching. I will catch you down the road.